Hey, Neek, did you hear about what Draymond said after he got suspended for the Nurkic incident?
Nah, what'd he say?
He said, I think it's obvious I'm the victim here.
Hmm.
What's up, y'all? It is April 18th, 2024. We are the HoopStorians. I'm Tony Styles. That's unique right there.
What up?
Um, let's get into this day in NBA history. This day in NBA history, April 18th, 1966, Bill Russell was named player coach of the Boston Celtics upon Red Auerbach's retirement. As coach of the Celtics, won two NBA championships in 3 seasons. And every other season when he wasn't playing, he won nothing and wasn't very good as a coach. With that being said, why do you think they got rid of the player coach? And do you think it could come back? And finally, if we had any player coaches, who would they be? Who would be the best options?
Dang. Um. Now, as far as why I think they would have done away with the player coaching situation is because it's very difficult to juggle playing and then also being responsible for creating the lineups, being responsible for really keeping your team accountable the way a coach does. It's a little different when you're the star because when you're the star, everything doesn't. How do I say this? When you're the star, the success of the team doesn't always weigh on your shoulders as much as it does the coaches. What I mean by that is like the coaches are more to blame often when the team doesn't win. That's why, for instance, a team doesn't have a successful year, they get rid of the coach. They don't necessarily get rid of the stars. They don't necessarily get rid of the players. But if a coach isn't producing the way that they want you to, you're up out of there. So if you're supposed to be a player, it's already pressure with being a good player. It's already pressure with trying to be good at your position. But then to also have to add being a coach and dealing with the different personalities to that capacity, it can be a little bit overwhelming. And then you can see a decrease in production, whether it be the points or the victories and things like that. So it's like different things can be affected by you having to both coach and play. Um, your focus, you feel me? Your focus isn't going to be on one thing. It's going to be all over the place. And sometimes if you don't have direct focus and you're thinking about too many different things, you're trying to juggle too many different things at once, you may create a lag. You may create some type of lack. So that's part of the reason. Do I think it'll come back? Not sure. The person that I could see being a player coach though, I could see, and this is gonna probably sound funny to people, but like I could see, let's see, player coach. Um, I kind of want to say LeBron,
I
but
can see
then I also,
LeBron. LeBron was one to be my thoughts.
yeah, I could see LeBron. I'm not gonna give up on Pajinski, bro. Like he's a rookie, but man, trust me, I'm saying it here first, bro. Hey, he's got some stuff going on with him as far as the IQ go. Let me
What
think.
about Chris
Chris
Paul?
Paul, definitely. I could definitely see Chris Paul being a player coach, most certainly, even more so than LeBron, to be honest. Um,
Here's the question
who
though. We'll use a Chris Paul right there. LeBron, I think it'd be kind of easy for LeBron to coach LeBron because he can still play as many. It's still legitimately to play as many minutes, start all that. So if you had somebody like Chris Paul, and I was going to ask like someone like Jared Dudley because everybody was talked about his high IQ and all that, and he's coaching
Okay.
now as well. So if you're someone like a Chris Paul at this point of his career or a Jared Dudley, could you be a player coach then, or do you really put yourself off the bench, less minutes where you really belong, or do you think you elevate yourself at that point?
Both Chris Paul and Jared Dudley, I think at this point in their careers could be a player coach. Um, Chris, he's already the type of leader that controls every team he goes to. And not that Chris is uncoachable, but Chris's IQ seems so high to where I don't think he really needs the coaches. I'm not saying that, no star needs a coach, but I'm more so speaking towards Chris Paul. I don't know that Chris Paul necessarily needs coaching. So from what I see with him, the way he's able to, and you see it with each team he goes to, with the exception of this season in Golden State, every team he goes to, the team kind of follows his lead for the most part. So with that, I feel as though we've already seen Chris coaching behind the scenes. He wasn't, a head coach or anything like that, but it seems like he's really in his players' ears. You feel me? Every time you see Chris, he's putting you on game or he's saying something. And then as far as Jared Dudley, because he's not the type of player that you command or demand too much from. I could definitely see him with the high IQ being able to remove himself, like you were saying, and just go ahead and focus on coaching, which was the other point I was making. It's going to be difficult for a lot of players to focus and play at the same time. I think Jared Dudley would be able to focus and play at the same time because it wouldn't be a lot of minutes that he had to play himself in. He's not expected to do too much. So he'd be able to observe the game and, basically let players know what they need to do a little better versus having to be the one. But Chris, I could see Chris more so like a Magic, you feel me, out there doing it all. Chris is that caliber player.
Yeah, that was this day in NBA history. So we have Jermaine Jones coming on. Supposedly, I'm waiting to hear. I was talking with him earlier today, and he said he was be on. Been texting him. I don't know if he's busy or whatever. So we're waiting on
Oh
him to
no.
come. So we're waiting for him to come on right now. But if he don't come on, let's chop it up. You got anything you want to talk about? You want to do Wilt Russell now? I mean, we can chop it up about Wilt Russell now if you want.
We can do the Will Russell now. I'm so mad that I don't have all of my points with me, but we can go. Yeah, we can go with it.
I mean, we can just do this filler. Okay, so
Yeah.
we're gonna do this. So me and Neek, we feel like, to be honest with you, really, um, maybe in the comment section, you guys can add what you think too. We feel like really one or the other is, how can I put this, interchangeable in the GOAT conversation. We understand why if you have Wilt over Russell, and we understand why if you got Russell over Wilt. So I'm going to go ahead and take Wilt's side, and I'm going to argue his case, and Neek's going to argue his case. And then I guess we're just going to go back and forth, until he admits defeat and admits I'm the winner.
Oh, we.
Uh, okay, so go ahead. So tell me why you got Russell over Wilt.
And I wish I could find the exact quote to show you where Wilt himself said that if he was to pick who the better player was between him and Bill Russell, he himself said Bill Russell. Now, the reason I'm picking Bill Russell over Wilt is because, and it's an obvious thing as far as who's the more offensive threat. You feel me? I don't even think that it's even a question with that. But what makes Bill better than Wilt in my mind, or at least for sake of arguing, is the fact that, for one, he did what needed to be done for the team to translate that into the greatest level of success, which is the championships. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
Wilt, I'm not saying Wilt didn't do what the team needed. When the team wanted Wilt to go from scoring to getting blocks or getting rebounds and stuff like that, he did that. However, we don't see that necessarily translate into championships. Whereas we're seeing Bill Russell win 8 in a row. Then we're seeing him come back and win some more. And we're seeing him be able to coach teams into winning championships. So it was like Bill Russell was all around a great player from every point of the game, whether it be being the star, whether it be being a role player, whether it be being a coach, whether it be being a
I push back
defensive.
on that. Let me push back on that real quick though. So here's my argument for that on a couple of those points. One, I mean, he was never a role player though. He was always the captain of the team.
But
And then whatever rebuttals you got to my rebuttals. Two, he was only a good coach when he could play himself.
hey, he's still
If you
something
got, if
special.
you have arguably the greatest player and you're the coach of yourself at the greatest player, I think you're going to have some good success.
But hey,
Mhm.
not every player coach got success. He did it, so it's like he has success all across the board. Whether he be college, NBA, coaching, all you see is success. Bill Russell equates to victories. That's what
Mhm.
makes him great. Wilt equates to all kinds of amazing accolades, all kinds of amazing individual accolades,
Mhm.
but that doesn't necessarily lead to wins, lead to championships. Bill Russell, what he did led to championships. So he spent the majority of his career winning.
Mhm. Yeah, well,
And, also,
11 out of 13 is 84.6%.
you feel me? He spent the majority of his career winning. And
Mhm.
like you said, being the star of that team, but also being able to play in a system where he has so many other stars where even though he is considered to be their captain, he's also willing to let other players get their shine. He's willing to let other players take over in places where, it'll benefit the team. So it's like, I'm the captain, but I don't need to score the most points. Wilt, I can't do nothing with that. All I can do is make it a little harder for him. You feel me? Where Wilt's probably going to get 50, 60, 70 on y'all, I'm going to try to drop that down to him only scoring 30. So there's no stopping Wilt. Don't get me wrong. You can't stop a Wilt. But a Bill Russell, he was making it difficult for him, and he was still winning in a time where we're seeing the crazy dominance of a Wilt Chamberlain. So you feel me? I feel as though Bill Russell, as far as mentality, as far as his style of play, he's the ultimate winner. So that's what makes him better to me.
So a couple different things on that though. So with winning, and obviously, you know what I mean. How can I put this? Let's see. What are we going to do? Okay, 2014. We'll just use that as an example. We would all agree that LeBron was better than Kawhi or Tim Duncan or any of those players, right? But the collection of the whole was better than the Heat. We can agree with that, right? The Spurs, and obviously they played
Yeah,
together better.
yeah,
The
yeah.
chemistry, how they played, and all that. Now, maybe if you want to argue individual talent, player by player,
Right.
you could say the Heat, something like that.
Different
But
argument. Right.
obviously, right. But they were a better team and they played together better. So
Yes.
that is what factors into the Wilt Bill Russell argument for me. At
Okay.
one point, we'll use 1963 for an example. Bill Russell had 9 Hall of Famers. The entire fucking rotation is in the Hall of Fame. Do you understand how hard that is to beat someone when your entire, let me repeat that again, your entire fucking rotation is in the Hall of Fame? So, what I'm saying is if you have 9 Hall of Famers, I don't care who you are. I'll put it this way. There are some borderline Hall of Famers right now. Like we'll say this, we'll use I don't even know who, Kyle Lowry, Rudy Gobert, something like that. If you had guys across the positions at Kyle Lowry's peak, Rudy Gobert's peak, all that kind of stuff, and whatever the equivalent to a shooting guard, a small forward, a power forward, and then your backup point, your backup wing, your backup post, your backup whatever, your flex position, you know what I mean? How are you going to beat that? That's just waves and waves of talent. And then on top of it, you do have a top 5 player all time, anchoring that. Not only that, Bill Russell got what 6 rings, 6 out of his 11 with Bob Cousy. There's another MVP. You know what I mean? And we kind of saw this flipped. So we saw Wilt on the Lakers and the Celtics. So we saw 2 MVPs battling one, and obviously the Celtics won more. And I mean, they only played once in the playoffs when Wilt got there. So when then we saw that flip in the 80s, because that's always my pushback when everybody said, because I firmly believe, and we got to get JT on and all that because he's going the opposite. I'd like to battle this out with him. Um, Bird is a better player than Magic. Bird doesn't have a weakness in his game. Magic has some weaknesses, but Magic is a greater player. Magic won more titles. The team won more. They were relevant longer. All of that. So he is definitely a greater player, but he's not better than Bird. And that's what I'm saying with that. If we're going best, better, or whatever, but we have to factor in those teams. He had way more help. Then on top of it, my biggest argument for Wilt Chamberlain being the greatest, if we're going to do that, and greater over everybody. Well, a couple different things. One, when Wilt changed his style of play in 67, I think he averaged 18, 29, 7 assists in the final. And I know at the end of his career, they tracked 112 games of him. He averaged 8.8 blocks. So more so in the prime, if he's averaging 8.8 over 112 games, I don't think it's inconceivable to say this dude was really getting 10, 12 blocks a game. I don't think that's an inconceivable jump. If you're getting 8.8 in something, to get 10 to 12, I don't think that's an inconceivable jump. So he was probably getting a quadruple. I mean, he was probably getting a triple double with 7 assists. He probably had a couple steals, things like that, because he was one of the better athletes. So when we saw him play like Russell, we saw him elevate higher than Russell as well. Then on top of it, he is the only person to say this out of all the great teams ever. This is pretty much the list. You got the 67 76ers, you got the 72 Lakers, you got the 83 Sixers, you have the 86 Celtics, you have the 96 Bulls. Some people throw in the 01 Lakers and they keep them out, and then they got the 17 Warriors. Those are generally the top teams of all time, the greatest teams of all time, right? Wilt is the only person that's a member of 2 of those teams. He was the best player on both of them, 67 and 72. So if we've seen him reach pinnacles of greatness, 68 and 13, 69 and 13, Russell couldn't do that with 9 Hall of Famers. Wilt's doing that with less. And then Bill Simmons once said this in his book. He's like, well, that, they always say Bill had more talent than Wilt Russell, which isn't true. He had very comparable talent. And there was some years where Wilt had 4 or 5 Hall of Famers on his team. That's not fucking 9. And he never had an MVP on his team either. You know what I mean? So that's my argument. So when we don't factor those things in, I don't understand. Nobody ever brings those points up, as well as all the numbers, all the statistics. Then we also have to factor in Wilt's mindset. And now this could be an argument for why Russell's greater too, but then it also could be an argument for why Wilt's greater. I truly believe if Wilt Chamberlain knew what we were going to consider greatness, now 60 years later or whatever, I think he would have changed his style of play in one more, because Wilt did whatever he wanted to do on the court. When he wanted to lead the league in scoring, he did that. When he wanted to lead the league in rebounding, he did that. When he wanted to lead the league in assists, he did that. When he felt like setting the record for the highest field goal percentage ever in a season, he did that. So he just didn't care about it. He thought these stats are what were going to make him great instead of the winning. And then people knock him too. Paul Pierce had me fucking dying on a podcast the other day. He said something. I think he was talking to Dr. Duncanstein. He was talking to him, and he goes, "Why don't people give Wilt more credit?" He's like, "Because he's only got 2 rings." It's like, bro, have you seen what the 08 Celtics do with that 1 ring? Have you seen the type of clout y'all try to get with 1 ring? And then you go knock this man for 2 rings. We talked about this. Do you agree all rings aren't created equal?
Yes, I agree. All rings are not created equal.
Okay, so this is my point in the pushback. So if all rings aren't created equal, and just to give you guys an example, I will argue this to the death of me. Dirk Nowitzki's 1 ring is worth more than Dennis Rodman's 5 rings. Would you agree with that?
Worth more than Dennis's 5 rings. The only reason I disagree with that is because Dennis Rodman was essential. He was an essential player. If Dennis Rodman was like a bench player, or if he was like, further down the line as far as dependability goes, I'll be with you. But because it's Dennis Rodman, I don't know that I necessarily agree with him, but I do agree with your point. I do agree with the fact that Dirk Nowitzki's 1 ring is probably greater than a lot of players who have multiple rings. Like, no knock on Robert Horry. I would take Dirk's 1 over Robert Horry's rings.
Well, Robert Horry, I think, was essential in his winning too. Obviously, not putting up gaudy numbers, but I would say he's essential too. But I will say this. The pushback I would do for that is, if you don't think that Dirk's 1 is worth more than Rodman's 5, who you taking in a draft? Rodman, who can be a role player and help you get 5, or Dirk, who can lead you and get 1? Who you drafting ahead of who? You got nobody on your team.
I mean, if I know that Rodman is going to help me get the 5, I'm going with Rodman.
No, I'm saying right now we're somewhere in another dimension, and we're doing a fucking all-time draft. You got nobody on your team. Dirk's on the board, Rodman's on the board. Who you starting off with?
Well, with that, I mean, Dirk's a much better player than Rodman. So just based off that, you got to go with Dirk. You feel me? Like, this is without.
But I'm saying, can't the argument be that Rodman's a better player if he's essential in helping win 5, and Dirk can only get you 1?
No, because I started off I never said that Rodman is the reason they won. I was more so saying that he was very helpful to them winning. Dirk is the reason.
I definitely agree with that.
Dirk is the reason why they won.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. If you are the reason someone won versus helpful of the one, you know what I mean? I'm just saying, I would much rather have Dirk's 1 ring, Finals MVP, best player on a title team than five of that. Now, if we're talking that, now maybe there's an argument. I could see if you wanted Scotty, who got a bunch of accolades, but never the best player, but 6 rings, shitload of accolades, gold, you know what I mean? Like all that. Right. So there's definitely an argument for that. So it definitely depends on your role. But I'm saying Rodman at best was the third best player on any team he played. Yeah, that's what I'm. And then if you remember at the end of 97, 98, he wasn't even playing in the fourth quarters. In the finals and all that. So how essential are you if not even playing in the fourth? So anyways, so all rings are not creative. So back to my point. So my point is when you factor in, you know what I mean? And well, I guess since we're arguing, I got to say these shitty ass points, but when you're factoring in Bill Russell's 11 rings, maybe you could argue that, since Wilt had the 2 greatest records ever, he was considered up until at least 83 to be the 2 greatest teams ever. You could argue, couldn't that be worth more? You are the top 2 teams of all time. Every time you win, it's a top team. It's setting records. You set the record for wins 1 year, and then 5 years later, you set the record again. So that's my point. You had the record for most wins in a season, and just shit like that. So that's what I'm factoring in, and especially now when people are like, I got Wilt 11th and 12th, and I'm like, bro, you can't have Wilt out the top 10. Whatever thing you care about winning, he checks the mark. You know what I mean? You care about stats, he checks the mark. You care about awards, he checks the mark. Yeah, but he only got 2. Well, when he retired, out of players that have led their teams to championship, or was the best player on a title team, I mean, he was top 3. There was Russell, Mikan, and him. You got a rebuttal?
Okay. So for that, here's how I look at it when it comes to Wilt. You said a lot, so I'm trying to remember all the points you made.
Let's talk about the 2 teams. Let's talk about how his teams were higher than Bill Russell's, okay? Because I don't think Bill Russell's, and 67 proved it exactly. I think if we put them all in a matchup, I think if you put Russell's 11 titles teams against Wilt's 2 title team, and we did like a round robin tournament style, I think Wilt's teams would be the 2 left standing in the finals.
Okay. So with that, it sounds like good seasons. You feel me? A lot of players have experienced good seasons. And then when you're dealing with a player as great as a Wilt, where is it a shock that somebody that can just turn it on whenever he wants to and just dominate every aspect of the game whenever he wanted to would end up on 2 of the greatest teams ever? Is that a far-fetched thought? No. So it's like, I would expect somebody as great as Wilt to have 2 of the best teams ever that he's played for. So it's like, to me, that don't really move me much because of how great he was. Part of my issue with Wilt, I can't even say issue. That's not even the right word. I have no issues with Wilt. Got to say that again for sake of argument.
Right.
The fact that Wilt, like I was
no
saying,
shit. I'm over here. I'm over trying to prove the point how 2's better than 11. I'm gonna make it, and I'm gonna fucking win. Watch this shit.
The thing about Wilt. So let's get back to what makes Bill the better player in my eyes. The fact that, like we're both acknowledging, Wilt at any point in time could have dominated any aspect of the game. What stopped you? Why are you letting Bill run? And I get you by yourself cannot completely stop a whole team, but at the same time, you yourself can make them create all of these different rules to make it harder for you. You yourself got the whole league up against you. So you're a whole different kind of monster. So it's like, for you to fall short when you're in a league with a Bill Russell and you're as dominant as you are, but for whatever reason, you're not turning up enough to surpass what they're doing. These are the reasons why I'm looking at Bill like he was better, because Bill knows as far as individual talent, one-on-one basketball, Bill knows that he's not better than Wilt Chamberlain one-on-one. He knows this. It's been proven. But at the same time, he's able to, because it's a team sport, he's able to make sure that his team is playing a way that's going to win. Whereas Wilt, again, this guy can turn it up at any given time. but he's not necessarily picking and choosing the right times to turn it up. This is why we're seeing all of these different seasons where he's not winning championships. This is why we're seeing all of these seasons where he's not even going to the finals because of
Can I
the
ask you a
fact
question
that,
on your point?
yeah.
Okay, here's my question for on that though. Is like, you know how you said like you're not surprised by Wilt and the greatness he is. He had those like two great seasons or whatever, so that doesn't
Hmm.
really impress you, or it's not far fetched. Well, but if that's the case, based off his greatness,
Hmm.
you got Russell over him in his greatness, and Russell had a better team than him with more Hall of Famers. So then why couldn't Russell do it?
Because not every team that has a bunch of Hall of Famers win. You feel me? So it's like you got to learn how to play with Hall of Famers. You feel me? Just having Hall of Famers on your team doesn't necessarily equate to victory. You feel me? That's a lot of egos. That's a lot of things to balance. You got to make sure that this player gets his minutes, this player gets his touches, this player gets his shots, and everything like that. So the fact that Bill Russell, even though he's around all these Hall of Famers, Bill Russell knew how to play without stepping on the Hall of Famers' toes and part of these people are Hall of Famers are also because of the fact they're with this man that keeps winning. Or you can say that they're all with each other and keep winning. But the bottom line is they knew how to all win together. This is a team sport. You feel me? It ain't good enough to just be an amazing talent. You have to be able to take your amazing talent and work with the pieces that you have. Bill Russell can't control who's on his team. He can only control what he does to contribute to the success of the team. What he did to contribute to the success of his team led to the greatest record. You feel me? As far as winning, he's constantly winning titles. It was like a shoe in for him. So where we're looking at a player like Wilt, he's gonna if Wilt wants to score 50, who's gonna stop him from doing that? You feel me? But for whatever reason, he didn't just say, "Hey, I want to win 5, 6 straight titles and do that." He was, I want to get the most rebounds. Did it. I want to get the most blocks. I want to get the most points. Did it. Why you ain't just say, I want to get the most titles and do that? You're able to just turn it on and do everything else. You're able to make the league change all of these different rules to make it harder for you. Do the same thing. Just dump. And then also here's this too. And this is kind of giving Wilt an argument actually. And I'm okay with doing that because Wilt is great. Part of Wilt's issue is that he did not like running players over. He was strong and he was dumb. Wilt, at any given time, if he wanted to, he could have just bombarded his way into the lane. He didn't want to do that. He didn't want to use his strength against people. He should have. Because had he done that, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Had he done that, it would be no question about who's the greatest. We all know Wilt was the most dominant individual player ever. We know this. If you watch basketball, you know this. So why is this man who's able to score 100 points only a two-time NBA Finals champ? Because he's dialing it down. And this is no slight against him. It's just the reason why I'm saying Bill was a better player, because Bill wasn't going for that. Bill within his team might be like, you know what? Y'all don't need me to score as much, but let me go ahead and get on these boards. Let me go ahead and get on these blocks. You feel me? Wilt, I feel as though should have at times just decided, I'm just taking over, because he could have. He very well could have. So I feel as though, and it's not a matter of heart, because obviously he had the heart, but I just feel as though there was times where he took a step back when he should have been taking a step forward.
But okay, so then answer the
See,
question like
that's a good point. Wilt didn't have Russell's hunger for winning. That's exactly what I'm describing.
I no. I agree. I agree with that. But I think, how can I put this? I think Wilt, for lack of I think Wilt and Kobe are kind of like of the same cloth in that regard. They care
Okay.
about greatness. Kobe recognized, though, because Kobe came along, 35 years, almost 40 years after Wilt, he recognized you are going to need to win to be great. You know what I mean? By that time, he heard the Bill Russell arguments over Wilt.
Mhm.
He
Mhm.
heard the Magic in the winning in the 80s and going to every final. He heard Jordan and things like that. So,
You
but
just.
once again, once I said, they care about greatness. Wilt thought stats was going to be the way to him being
Mhm.
the greatest player of all time. And like I said, so my question is this: like, if we put although 13 title teams in a playoff formula tournament, who do you think would be the last two teams standing?
I mean, given, I mean, I don't know, honestly.
But I'll put it this
That.
way. But I'll put it this way. I'll put it this way. There is, with all the evidence, and obviously it's hypothetical and we don't know. But the
Mhm.
67, but the 67, and I don't remember this exactly, but the 67 76ers beat the Celtics in 4 or 5. I don't remember which one it is. Um, they beat him in 4 or 5. I don't know which. So we saw that 67 Celtics are better than Russell and his Celtics when Wilt wants to play like that. 72, Russell was out of the league. We'll never know. So I'm saying with the data we have, the records we have, the way they ran through the playoffs and all that, other than like we talked to Bobby Dandridge about it, the struggles they had with the Bucks that year.
Mhm.
But so I need some water. Anyways, so looking at that, we see the history. Why wouldn't they be the last two? All the data points to that. If you're looking at from a logical perspective, other than you can say, I don't know, man, I just trust Russell's heart. We can't really quantify that. You know what I mean? And we saw him beat Russell. Why wouldn't they be the last two? Because all the data points to that. That Wilt's greatest and best is better than Russell's. Russell had more consistency. So I guess it depends what you consider. Here's an example for you. So LeBron, I think, has consistently been better than Jordan. If you factor in from 18 to 39, LeBron is going to have more better seasons than Jordan. You know what I mean? 18 through 22, 23, whatever that is, and then plus from like 36 on, he is. And then there's some seasons that are probably debatable. So
Mhm.
people say, no, Jordan peaked much better than LeBron. So he's higher. And I believe you're one of those people that say that. So if Wilt peaked higher than Russell in every single facet, in winning games, the way he won the titles, in stats, why isn't he a better player
Because
if his
he's
peak's higher?
also, I mean, just like he beat Bill, he's also lost to Bill. You feel me? So it's not like the only times that they played he ended up winning. No, they both beat each other. So that cancels each other out. He had a greater season. Yeah, he had a greater peak, but I've already expressed that he was a better individual player. You feel me? I've already expressed he was a better talent, but the mentality
But then
thing,
but then his but then his teams with less talent went higher with him. So I understand the better point, but I'm
because
saying, and that works if he's
because of how
individual, then
great
how does
he
he make
was,
his teams higher?
because
So
of
if he
how
can
great,
elevate teams higher, okay, I got you. So if he can elevate teams higher, then why wouldn't he be better?
because of the fact that he didn't learn before Bill Russell did that this is a team game and we need to get championships in order to be considered great. That's why he's not better, because he didn't develop that mindset soon enough.
But here, let's go with this. Are Wilt, Shaq, and LeBron cut from the same cloth as underachievers? I don't know how
Ooh,
anybody could say LeBron
I don't think
underachieved.
I do. I see how a person could say LeBron underachieves. It's kind of like
How?
the same. The reason why he's in a conversation with Wilt and Shaq is because LeBron is also a very dominant physical player. You feel me? How do you stop LeBron? You feel me? Who stops LeBron other than
The fr-
LeBron?
the free throw line.
LeBron's not a horrible free throw shooter though.
He's horrible, dude. I don't have the numbers, but I bet if we pulled up fourth quarter playoff free throw shooting, I bet it's going to be a horrid number.
But look at what you said, fourth quarter free throws. That's underachieving. Why are you falling apart in the fourth quarter? This is a time to turn it up. This is a time to make your free throws, not miss them. So I could see that constituting as some underachieving, because this is a time
But
for you to.
but I've never seen him lose a game because of his free throw shooting.
All right, that's fair.
I
I
mean,
mean,
and maybe he has. I can't think of one.
Well, LeBron. I mean, let's be real. LeBron's a better shooter than both Shaq and Will. Well, correction. Shaq, from like 15 is amazing,
I
and
guess
then
I guess I don't know what we're saying though by underachieved. LeBron's got 4 titles, 4 MVPs. He's got, first off, I hate the argument of like I don't care about 4 and 6 at all. I care about the 4 rings. That's the only way I look at it. Like I said, I'll put it this way. If you argue Jordan, I'll put it this way. This is just me, of course. If I could go 7-7 in the finals, I would rather go 7-7 than 6-0. Because now I'm in the finals the majority of my career. I've won more rings. And it's like this, and just look at it like gold medals. I'd have 7 gold medals, 7 silver medals, and whatever. And Jordan would have, we'll just use the Jordan argument, 6 gold medals and 1 bronze. And like a bronze, or something like that. So why was his 6 golds worth more than my 7 and 7? Because it's not like Jordan just played 6 seasons. In 1995, he was trying to win a title. He failed. 1990, he was trying to win a title. He failed. That's why I hate about the 6-0 argument. He was trying to win titles those years. He just didn't do it.
Okay, that's fair.
So I don't know how LeBron underachieved though. I mean, he's got the all-time record. He's got 4 rings. Other than really the Mavs series. I mean, I guess if you want to count that, then maybe he should have 5 rings because they should have beat the Mavs. And he underachieved definitely in that finals. But
I was about to say, but that was the season where he decided to stop playing for whatever reason. And not even to cut you off, but I will say this though, because of that season that you just brought up when they went up against the Mavs, part of an argument for underachieving is why were you even on that team to begin with? Now he got success on that team, but it was just like, did you have to go to that team to see success? Not really.
I think you did, because you saw that they couldn't get anybody in Cleveland. The best player
they ended up getting Kyrie shortly. They ended up getting Kyrie right after he left.
You're right, but because they were terrible and they got the number 1 pick, they wouldn't have that. LeBron was going to get him 60 wins the next year. They were going to get the number 1 pick with that. So no, they couldn't get anybody. And the only time that they could get, and it was a trade, and they traded for a guy that was in Minnesota that wasn't winning. You know what I mean? So nobody went. The best player they got in 7 seasons was Mo Williams. And no knock to Mo Williams. Mo Williams just isn't a second best player on a title team, as we saw.
Didn't he have? I thought he didn't have Jameson with him at any point.
He had old Antoine Jameson, who was like 17 a game for like half a season or whatever. But like Antoine Jameson just wasn't the same player. And I mean, Antoine Jameson, once again, is only a 2-time All-Star when we go with that. So it's not like he was, and I'm not saying Antoine Jameson's not a great player or whatever, but it's just not, superstar level like you needed to win at that point.
He had Shaq. Like that's underachieving. LeBron and Shaq on the team losing.
You mean 12.6 rebound Shaq?
Yeah, that guy.
that guy? Yeah, Shaq, his last 2 years were still Shaq was great for about 20 to 25 minutes a game, and that's all you could count him on. You know what I mean? You just Shaq was old, dude. You couldn't. You know what I mean? Been hacked, fouled, been carrying around 400 pounds. Shaq said he weighed 380 in the 02 finals.
Well, are we wrestling? Why are you 380? Well, yo, I find it hilarious that there's no pushback for Shaq being an underachiever.
Not at all.
That's hilarious.
Not at fucking all.
Hey, Shaq.
I mean, if you want to get into like we get into the Shaq thing, I don't know if we're ever going to get back to Russell and Wilt. We've gone so far off the path. I'm going to try and circle back around, but Shaq, right. There's no reason why. And this just shows you the standards for Shaq. Okay, because I mean, I remember me and you watching it, together freshman year, 99, 2000 Shaq was just dominant, unstoppable, just scary and all that. Dude didn't even average 30. There's no reason why someone like Shaq should have never, in 19 years, never got to 30. I think he either had 1 year leading the rebound or 0. He was not a good, he was a good positional rebounder if it came to him. You know what I mean? But he wasn't going to go get the ball. He should have had something. I'll put it this way. His first year in the league was career highs in blocks and rebounds, and he never touched those numbers again. Why weren't you better at rebounding and blocking the shot after your rookie year? So yeah, he underachieved. I mean, he should have been, I mean, dude, if he was still, I'll put it this way, when he was at his peak, that dude should have won, I don't know, 6 rings in a row, something like that. Something.
You talking about with the Lakers?
Hey, read this out loud for me.
You can tell Shaq game. I couldn't even finish it. You can tell Shaq gained weight each season after 2000 by the tight jersey.
Tightest jersey. Oh my God. Wootage with shots fired. Hey,
Oh no.
how he get
Oh.
bigger and got the same jersey on?
Because it was the same number. They weren't stretching his jersey out. They weren't. They
No,
weren't
I'm saying
creating
whatever he
larger
was
size.
instead of 6X, why weren't they giving him 12X or whatever size he was?
Man, they ran out of material for Shaq. Like, bro, we can't keep adjusting your jersey every year. Quit eating barbecue chicken on your days off. Stop it.
Oh my God.
That is hilarious. You know what Phil Jackson said about Shaq as far as when they won their first title with the Lakers.
No.
So what he was saying is how they ended up beating Portland is because they had to pull Shaq aside and tell him like, look, bro, you're not playing defense. You not playing defense is going to lead to us losing the game. So you can keep doing what you're doing and have these amazing stats as far as individual accolades. But if you want to win a title, you're going to have to get in there and start defending. From that point on, and it was that last game, from that point on, he was saying, Phil Jackson was saying that that's when Shaq in the fourth quarter started locking people down. And that's how they ended up beating Portland. Because
Well,
he had,
I didn't mean to cut you up. Keep going.
no, I was just saying, he had to pull Shaq aside and tell him, like, bro, what you're doing is lackadaisical, basically. You're going to need to get in there and start defending. You're going to look good as far as your numbers go because, can't nobody stop you, but we need you to stop them. And that's sad that he had to be told that.
Well, Shaq, Phil said this about Shaq as well. He said with him and like with Kobe and Shaq, he said first off he had to go with Kobe as a softer approach and all that, which is weird because you hear Kobe with all this like Mamba mentality and laughing about he's an asshole and like Dwayne Wade breaking his nose in the All-Star game. He's like, I love that shit, bro. It's all good. I'll see you next week. So I don't know if Kobe necessarily had the Mamba mentality at first or he had developed that, because obviously as we age, we get more confident in ourselves and less things bother. Well, certain things bother us more, less things about ourselves and all that. But Phil said with Shaq, he could just come in there screaming at Shaq because Shaq had a military father. Yes, sir, no, sir. Kobe didn't have that. So he had to take the softer, more sensitive approach and all that. And actually, I don't know. I'm kind of interested, to see if Kobe's got any antidotes because do you read NBA books?
Do I? Nah.
Well, anyways, I mean, if you want, I mean, I'll definitely pass some to you, but I mean, I get a wealth of knowledge from, but I'm currently reading Walton's autobiography and all that. But the next one I'm moving on to, I haven't decided. I'm either going to move on. Have you seen a Basketball Love Story, the documentary?
Mm-mm.
Okay, awesome documentary made out of a book and all that. So I got that. That's either up next. I've been talking with Jackie McMullen trying to get her on the show. She's one of the authors of that. If so, I'm gonna see if she'll sign my book. She wrote out. She did like Shaq's autobiography, Bird's autobiography, and then she did
Nice.
another good book. What was it? Magic and Bird. When the game was ours. But so I don't know if I'm gonna do. I don't know if I'm gonna do for Basketball Love Story or this bad boy next.
Ooh,
But I'm
Mamba.
hoping I get. I'm hoping I get some good Shaq stories and all that. So, but yeah. So if you want, I'll definitely pass you some books and stuff. You know what I mean? If you want to read them
Yeah.
too and all that.
Yeah.
But
See what they talking about. I'm with it.
But oh, wait a minute. Here's a good point too. Phil said he would take Prime Shaq over Prime Jordan and Prime Kobe on the best damn sports show. Period.
I
Well, I'll put it.
mean,
I'll put it
that
this
makes
way.
perfect sense though.
Hey, I'll put it this way, and I'll argue this to the death of me, and we'll see everybody. He's a hater. He's a hater. He's a hater. And whatever, bro. Just look at the numbers, look at the play, look at the eye test. I'll take McGrady's best season over Kobe's best season. And
Well,
anybody that thinks I'm insane saying that, you don't know how good McGrady was in the 02-03 season.
So on your point, because I'm Team Kobe. I'm a much bigger Kobe fan than McGrady's. However, being objective, you get everything out of McGrady that you get from Kobe. The difference is he's more effective than Kobe as far as he's a better shooter than Kobe. He's taller than Kobe. He jumps as high as Kobe. He's as athletic as Kobe. If you want to edge Kobe defensively, okay, but I could see a person edging McGrady defensively. So it's like everything that you get from Kobe, you get from McGrady. He's just in a different jersey. He has different unit around him. He has different, teams. Like When was McGrady, other than when he played with Vince, when was McGrady not the best player on his team?
Well, I mean, clearly at the end, you know what I mean, when the injuries caught up. But
Yeah, but I'm giving him a pass on that. I'm talking about while he's like active and actually playing it.
well,
You feel me?
here's what I don't know if you realize this, but McGrady really only had a 5-year prime, 2000 to 2005, and
I
then the
do. Yeah.
05 06 season he clearly started slipping. He was not the same player. He was still, and then he was still an all-star level player from like 05 to 08, and then he was like, a starter level, third, fourth best player, for the next couple years and all that. But like I said, I will argue to the death that, and I will never argue McGrady is greater than Kobe, but I will
Mm-hmm.
argue that he was better than Kobe from
In his
2000 to
prime.
2005. And I will also argue that McGrady had a higher peak than Kobe with that. Because if you look at the stats, McGrady was like, I don't know, 32 and a half that year. If you want to say 06 is Kobe's best season, that's 35. He's got 2.5 points. And then McGrady's better in every other stat, pretty much. I can't
Yeah,
think of
cause
another
what?
stat off of my
Cause,
head that he'd be better than. And two and
cause
a
what
half
was?
points at 35 and 32 and a half is enough to sway me if you're better at everything else.
And what did he was that Houston that he was on when he scored all them points in like just a matter of seconds?
Oh, yeah, 13 and 35. That was his first year in Houston, his last prime year. Hey, once again, if you want to teach Kobe how to play defense with prime Kobe, awesome selection. Awesome selection. But I personally think the best perimeter defender of all time, and obviously the rules were a little different back then, is Alvin Robertson. That dude is the all-time leader in steals per game. That dude is the all-time leaders in steals in a season. Only dude ever to get over 300 steals in a season as well. He also is the only guy ever to get a quadruple double with steals. He was 6'3", but he was so long. He played like he was 6'7", and all that. So yeah, I think Alvin. But there's nothing wrong with prime Kobe and his defense.
Nah, 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 nah.
No, not saying that. What kills me too is, have you seen those memes about like all the, and it's from the Kobe fans and all that.
Mhm.
Um, all those memes about all the stolen MVPs Kobe had.
All the stolen MVPs he had. What do you
Yeah,
mean?
like
Like,
like he should have been the 06 MVP, and he should have been the 05 MVP, and he should have been the 03 MVP, and he should have been the 09 MVP, just all the stolen
uh,
MVPs. Yeah, have you seen that meme?
no, but I guess what people are saying, I think the reason why they're saying it is because they're looking at him as a
Hey,
favorite.
I
They're
just want to
looking
tell
at him.
Sneed this real quick. Hey, Sneed, real quick. I know you probably don't remember, but I just want to say this. Go watch Toronto. Tracy McGrady, as a backup perimeter player, got 2 blocks a game coming off the bench. Now think
T
about that.
Mac
Your two guard slash small forward getting you 2 blocks a game in the 90s coming off the bench.
because he was too athletic. Like they couldn't do nothing. Players couldn't really do much against T Mac. You feel me? And to your point, like you're saying, he was coming off the bench, so it's not like he's in the game the majority of the game. But while he's in there, the contributions he was making. Once T
1.9
Mac,
blocks in 31 minutes as a perimeter player.
yeah, when T Mac was in his prime, though, he was a lockdown defender. He was. I mean, he didn't always have to, but it's kind of I don't want to
I
say
think
great.
no, oh no, I'll put it this way. I'll put it this way. He didn't have the pat. I'll put it this way. So here's definitely where Kobe had it, but it's a weird thing because that's when they talk about the Mamba mentality and all that. So Kobe had clearly much more of a passion than T Mac, much more of a drive, much more of a
He played
will.
that.
Right. But then it didn't result to the same numbers and things that T Mac could do because T Mac, like Kobe once said, he's me, just bigger. So Kobe could not outwork him to catch up to those physical advantages, just like with Shaq. You know what I mean? And there's nothing
Mhm.
wrong with admitting it. It's just is what it is. And to be honest with you, I think that's one of Kobe's greatest skills ever. He's really convinced people he is the greatest player of all time. And second player, he has really got people thinking that. It is insane that man at where he actually is could really do that. So awesome, and that's kudos to Kobe. But on the T Mac Kobe thing, okay, so one of the years is 06 is one of the stolen years of the MVPs for Kobe, and 03 is another one of the years, right? So
Mhm.
03 they post his stats, right? He should have been the MVP in 03. And then I put literally, bro, McGrady was better than him in every stat. Maybe not steals or something like that, but field goal percentage, more rebounds, more assists, more points. You know what I mean? Just better across the board. I think Kobe was better. So basically, out of like 10 stats, it's McGrady got 8 of them and Kobe's got 2 of them. And then we are, well, if you're basing off stats, then McGrady beat him in every stat that year, pretty much. So why isn't McGrady the MVP? Well, and I don't remember what the '03 Magic won, but I know it was probably 45,
That's what I
47
was
games. So I'm
thinking.
like,
Yeah.
well, hold on. So then the argument is this. But Kobe won more games. So it's not about stats. Kobe won more. He won 50 games that year. Well, then why do you got the '06 title? Because Kobe only won 45 that year. Well, because he averaged 35. Do you see what I'm saying? That's what Kobe fans do. If
Pushing.
06, the stats are what matters. But '03, it's the wins that's what matter. You know what I mean? So here we go. Hold on, wait, real quick. So just to answer this question, we were in communication yesterday. I sent him the link. He hasn't got back to me, and he hasn't responded. So no, you haven't missed it. I don't know what happened to him. He hasn't messaged me or joined. I don't know. I'll reach out to him again and ask what happened. But maybe he got caught up with something. I don't know if you know this. He is now Dr. Jermaine Jones as well. He's a motivational speaker. He works a lot with youth. I don't know. Maybe there was something that went on with that. Something else. I don't know. Like I said, I don't have the answer.
That's fair.
But listen, T-Mac was incredible. People ding him for not winning much. The only negative thing I hear about T-Mac. Yeah, but if you also look at those teams, I mean, dude, they had, if you've never seen, I don't know how old he would have been that year, 40-year-old Patrick Ewing play basketball, because that's what T-Mac had. And then he had guys like Michael Doliak. Dude, he had fat, overweight Sean Kemp on that team. Like, you know what I mean? He just, I mean, dude, they spent all their money that year on Grant Hill, and Grant Hill didn't play pretty much. So he got one All-Star season when he clearly was no longer Grant Hill. He was like 19 a game or something like that. Still a good player, but not Grant Hill. So they had no cap flexibility because they had Grant Hill, and obviously through no fault of his own, he played in the playoffs on a broken ankle, which really sucks because all of Grant Hill's accomplishments, when you really think that 99 2000, Grant Hill took it to a whole nother level. As what would his name say? Peel would say. Or is that Key? I don't know whichever one says it. But anyway, so Grant Hill was always like a 21 point a game scorer until 99 2000. He pushed it up to, like, I want to say 25.8. So he was taking his game up to a whole nother level, played on a broken foot in the playoffs. And I don't know why he did that, because it's like, bro, it was the Pistons. You guys weren't getting out the first round no matter what. So anyway, no, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It wasn't sprained, bro. It was broke. It was broke, and that's why he only played, I think, 4 games the next year, 29 the next year, 18 whatever it was. He had staph infections. You know what I mean? Things like that. So, but back to this
so
thing.
Much time hurt. He had to get in there before his career was over. Like, look, I could still do this.
So I'm gonna let you know this. Woody. When I came, I don't know when you watched or whatever, but I see the 84. I don't know what that means. I'm born in 84. So when I first started watching basketball, okay, everybody was one of the top teams, and that's just how I formulated it as a kid. You know what I mean? So I look at it like this, and it's changed recently with the way that teams play now. But first off, I don't think you have any argument for being valuable, and I don't care what your squad is if you don't win 50 games. That's where I'm at now. And really, I like 55 games. And I don't know if I've ever broke this down on the podcast about what it takes to win a title with 55 games. Have I ever said that? Give you that story?
Yeah. We're breaking that down with most of them.
Yeah. Yeah. Mostly have 55. So I really like you to win 55. So everybody that's winning title, MVPs in their 40s and stuff like that, it's not me. So I don't think Jordan with 40 plus win teams should have been the MVP. You know what I mean? And that's me. And just like that's my argument for Kobe. When you're like, he should have got it in 06. If he won 5 more games, he probably could have got it, but he didn't. And that's just what it is. And then they say things like, well, yeah, but look at his team. Well, once again, this is Kobe fans not being accountable on this. So look, if we're looking at his team,
Kobe had teams. He had some good players.
I'm not saying he didn't. I'm not saying he didn't have a good team. Like, if you look at Caron Butler was having good seasons. He played 1 season with Kobe. His numbers went down. His production went out. He went to Washington, became an All-Star. So I'm saying, like, I didn't see Kobe elevate a lot in that regard. But if if 06 is the problem and things like that, then Kobe shouldn't have ran off Shaq. So that's why it doesn't matter. So he had 45 wins because he ran off Shaq. You know what I mean? So if it's, well, look at his team. He wanted that team. Shouldn't have ran off Shaq, and he could have got the MVP, because by 05, 06, Kobe was clearly better than Shaq.
And then also to touch on the point that you're making, Kobe was in talks to go to Chicago that season.
Hmm.
How successful was he going to be there? You feel me? How many wins was he going to get in Chicago that season?
I don't know. I know after the '07 season, they were in talks. It was like the Hawks pick Diao Marion. There was talks for him and the Suns, and it was going to be like an Amari, Kobe, Nash trio.
No,
How
Kobe said
successful
it.
would he been there?
Oh yeah, oh, he would have been very successful there. But Kobe said that he was considering going to
Clippers or
Chicago.
Chicago? Clippers
Yeah,
or
he
Chicago?
even went out there. Yeah, so he was really
I,
going there or
well, I'm
considering
gonna
it.
let I'm gonna let I'm gonna let you know this much, and I know this from Mrs. Bryant. Okay, she told Kobe, "You can go wherever the fuck you want. I'm a Cali girl. Me and the kids ain't going nowhere." So
Mm.
so so since I found out she said that, Kobe was never leaving California. And by a Cali girl, I don't even know if she means she's really a Cali girl or an LA girl.
Mm.
Because
Well,
I mean, with that being
thank you,
said,
thank you, Ms. Bryant. Thank you, Ms. Vanessa, for keeping him in L.A.
so
Um,
so anyway,
I
so
got
back
one
to
last.
real. I guess what I'm really trying to say, since we're coming up at the end of the hour,
Yeah, yeah,
Wilt's
yeah.
better, and I win.
And what I'm trying to say is, Wilt just made the underachiever list.
And I can say that too. Here. I think we can definitely agree with this. Okay, I think this is the sentiment about Wilt, and this is where you have to factor it in. Wilt had the greatest strengths of the two, but he also had
Yeah,
the greatest weaknesses of the two.
fair. That's fair.
So the question is, do you think his strength outweighed his weaknesses? And if you do, then it's Wilt over that and all that.
Do I think his strengths outweighed
Oh,
his
wait a minute. What about
weaknesses?
that? Oh, wait a minute.
Hmm?
What about that? Since she's a Cali girl and they're never leaving Cali, what if he went to the We Believe Warriors with B. Diddy, Matt Barnes,
It'd
Steven
have been.
Jackson?
Oh, that would. That, I mean, that's a gritty team. They would have. They would have. I don't know if they would have won a title, but they definitely would have made. They would have shook some stuff up in the West.
I'll
Yeah,
put it
they
this
def.
way: if they could have got just a Carlos Boozer level post player, something like that, you know what I mean? And
That
Carlos
would have
Boozer was
been enough.
20 and 10. I think so at that point. Well, I don't know. So here's my only issue. Kobe Bryant couldn't stay away from bad shots. And
Hmm.
Baron Davis said, Kobe, double that and give it to me. So I don't know how good a backcourt it would have been, which
It would
is,
have
I
been
mean, that would have
chaotic.
been, that's what I'm saying. That would have
They
been
would
the
have tried to
worst
outplay
bad
each other
shot.
every night. That would have been chaos. It's kind of like why Baron Davis and Monte didn't really work because they were constantly trying to outplay each other and they were both good, but it was just like Monte's like, I should be the star. And Baron Davis was like, man, no, that's still my team.
Hey, I think I said it on here, but my favorite ever Monte quote, right?
Hmm.
He said, in all honesty, I'm on Dwayne Wade's level.
You know what? I honestly can see why he would have thought that. I don't agree, but
Because
I see
cocaine's
why
a hell of a drug.
I see why he thought that. Monte was one of them guards that was unguardable. Like Monte was one of them guards that kind of bullied like Wade did. You feel me? Monte was extremely fast like Wade was. Monte, was athletic like Wade was. You feel me? Once Monte is in the open court, you can't stop him. So based on these things, I can see what he thought he meant, or I'm assuming what he meant, but no, no, Monte, you're no Wade.
But but then you factor. But here's where the factoring thing is, and this is what you were just arguing with the Wilt and Russell, except Wilt actually won. Is Monte as your best player? You're going 32 and 50. Wade is your best player. He's getting you 38 in the finals and capping a hell of a comeback. And what's crazy is, I don't know if you know this, but ever since I had that argument with Jamal Murray, I found out any team down 0-2 sucks. That's what Jamal Murray told me. That 0-6 team heat sucks. Next time I talk to him, I got to tell him that. Hey, I'm like, hey, bro, I don't know if y'all know this. You suck. Your 0-6 Heat team sucked.
Mm.
Jamal Murray told me so.
He was just trying to argue with you, bro. When people
Yeah,
want to
why is he
argue, they don't
arguing?
even need a point. I
No,
don't
they
know.
don't.
I guess you made
Wait a
them
minute, wait a
mad.
minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. I'll put it this way.
Monte Ellis or Jordan Poole.
Woodage, I'm putting
Oh,
it this way, bro. Bro, literally, and what he's turned on to and turned into, um, I would take you, Woodage, over Jordan Poole.
All
I'll
right.
put it this way: if I was a coach of a team right now, the way he's playing this year and the way he's acting and shit like that, and they said, "Hey, we're thinking about trading for Jordan Poole," I go, and I'm going to resign if you do.
Man, I'm gonna be real. I personally prefer Monte over Jordan Poole, but Jordan Poole on the Warriors, just like Monte played for the Warriors, Jordan Poole was a better asset to the team than Monte was when he played for that team.
For
Based on
1 year.
that, yeah,
Dude,
yeah.
I'm gonna tell you. Hey, hold
I
on.
mean,
Let me tell you what Jordan Poole looked like last year. This is what Jordan Poole looked like last year on the Warriors, and with the Wizards, it don't even matter because they have no aspirations or whatever. Every time Jordan Poole came into the game last year, it looked like he went into the huddle and he said, "Hey guys, what do we need What do we need least right now? And I'll go out there and do that."
but he still averaged like 20 though. That was the weirdest thing because I'm with you. I was watching and he looked like he was just all over the place, but he was still averaging 20.
I know, and they were, and it was just like Monte, yeah, or Monte Ellis and shit. It's like, yo, but they didn't matter. Jordan Poole was not contributing to any of the wins they were doing.
Bro, it was the
They,
weirdest 20. I'm not gonna lie, it was the weirdest 20.
you know, what
I
he
didn't
plays
even know.
like. He plays like a 1970s player. He looks like he dribbles and shoots, and like a Jamal Wilkes or some shit. Like he reminds me of somebody straight out of the 70s with the way he plays, especially with those Wizards jersey as well.
Yeah. And then you factor in the fro and the mustache and the side. Yeah, he's on his way.
So yeah, but yo, man, we out of time. So tell us in the comments, leave us a comment, please. Like, subscribe, send your super chats. Subscribe to our GoFundMe. Take us out to dinner. Whatever you can do to help out the pod. Show us some love. We're gonna
Let
go
your
0
man,
to 200. Huh?
let your man Jones know that we still waiting.
Yeah, we still waiting. I'll give him a text. Say, hey, if you can't make it, can't make it. Obviously, we'd love to have reschedule. Definitely want to talk about. Wilkes gets his number retired as well. But let's hurry up. Let's go 0 to 200 real quick, and let's bounce for the night. Let's work on tomorrow. All right, here we go.
Please don't make me laugh with that half-ass gimmick. I'm about to get mine and it's about time. Call us Grindhouse, everybody in a house grind. I'm just doing me, I ain't trying to outshine. Trying to kill my vibe is how you get outlined. I don't do it for the views and the likes, boy. I'm just giving you what I wrote last night, boy. I don't care if it isn't what you like, boy. My flow is fucking awesome, ain't it, white boy? Feeling fly.
Hey, just giving a heads up to the pod. We tomorrow we got an author coming on. He's writing a book about the first ever NBA season. Super big on historian. Dude knows more than me. And then I got Xavier McDaniel to confirm, so he should be on Tuesday. So that's where we're at now. Hopefully that Dick Mata interview will be edited so we can get that up next week. But please check us out tomorrow. We're gonna talk some old school hoops with a NBA author. Till then, we out.